really need to catch like the flight.
What is the first thing you'll do when you get home tonight?
Just hug my wife and son.
Well, right now, Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil on his way home to New York. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Sharice Gibson. After more than 100 days in a Louisiana detention center, the Columbia grad student and legal permanent resident was released thanks to a ruling from a federal judge. Amelia Strahan has these breaking developments in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Joining us now in studio, Amelia.
Sharice, DHS responded to the ruling on social media, calling it, quote, an example of how out of control judicial branch members are undermining national security. Khalil will have to surrender his passport, but the government must return his green card.
After 3 months at a Louisiana detention center, Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil left Jinnah a free man Friday.
Trump and his administration, they chose the wrong person for this.
A federal judge ordered his release Friday afternoon, and a few hours later, Khalil walked out holding his head and fist high.
There's no right person who should be detained for actually protesting a genocide, for protesting their university.
Since March, the Columbia University student has been held in connection with pro-Palestinian protests on campus. Khalil was arrested after Secretary of State Marco Rubio determined his presence in the U.S. was a threat to foreign policy.
And if you tell us when you apply for a visa, I'm coming to the U.S. to participate in pro-Hamas events, that runs counter to the foreign policy interest of the United States of America. It's that simple. So you lied. You came. If you had told us that you were going to do that, we never would have given you the visa.
When a judge ruled against that determination, DHS kept Khalil in custody, claiming there were misrepresentations on his green card application.
They're claiming that he misrepresented his participation in an advocacy group at Columbia, and that they claim he misrepresented the amount of time he worked for the UN agency that assists Palestinians abroad.
Immigration attorney Glenn Wasserstein says immigrants are rarely detained for minor documentation issues.
That's why the judge released him today, because he said this never occurs. And of course, you have to have a basis to hold someone. This is basic due process rights.
While he was in custody, Khalil's wife gave birth to their first son. He says his first hours as a free man will be spent with them.
The only time I spent my son was in a specified 1 hour limit that the government had imposed on us. So that means that now I can actually hug him and Noor, my wife, without looking at the clock.
Amelia Strahan, WWL, Louisiana.
According to data obtained by CBS News, ICE is holding about 59,000 detainees across the entire country. That's likely a record high, and it's up from 39,000 when President Biden left office in January.
All right, Amelia, thank you so much for that update.